Is Up Close, SABC News program that profiles men and women in the industries, African icons, rising stars, idols, and veterans. If they're in the news, then you can story right here. I'm Tsheapang Motsekuoa for the next half hour, and the Minister of Basic Education is Angie Motshekga. Born in 1955, a minister has spent her formative years in township, that's Soweto. Degree in education from Wits University, and having spent years, it's no surprise then that the country's basic education department also serves as a current president of the Women's League and a member of the Basadi Trust. Not much available about her outside of her official, but this warrior woman has lived a life. So we're very pleased to get with Minister Angie Motshekga today.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
So I was amazed. You grew up in Soweto. You were in Soweto. You taught in Soweto. So if you are Sowetan through
and through, and that's why at some stage I have to seek employment elsewhere. I feel stuck now that I can't work here. So I left teaching and work elsewhere.
If most people, of course, the Soweto especially will tell you, if you want a crash course, being a South African is I'm in Soweto. So you really understand what it is South African, looking at all from apartheid era to now South Africa.
No, it is. I mean, so you have a privilege of meeting all South Africans from different parts of the country. Yeah. You privileged to have the different lives. I mean, I grew up in, well, when I grew up and when I was born, it was like Alex. So it was an informal South. I saw people transforming to was 12 when we were able to go to Klefspreid. So in an informal settlement, to all the schools in Soweto. I've done it all in Soweto. I cut my teeth. I went to Soweto.
Yes.
And
let's go back to that time in Pimville. Pimville back then, the late 50s. What was that place like growing up? What do you remember?
I just think that it was beautiful. At that stage, all I was what I was exposed to. So I knew that there were difficulties. Grandmother happened, a daughter of a very senior ANC person. Her father was chaplain, the second chaplain of the ANC. I grew up, there was this hush-hush. So you just grew up knowing that there's something right somewhere, and somewhere behind the doors and pray, things are happening. But for me as a child, the world, it was fun. We played, we walked to school. There are all sorts of beautiful memories that I had. Actually, I was privileged because I came from that. I mean, my great-grandfather, my grandmother was a teacher, so in a way, came from that protected. At least the basics were in place, and you just knew pick in the house, but school. So there were books around me, so it was taken care of. So I can't even grow up poor. Didn't.
Yes.
I was privileged that I grew up in a family from grandmother to everybody. Like my uncles, everybody else had been around me. So it was nice growing up there, having fun. Just knowing that where the world stops and where it starts, so that you know about it, except for being happy and with what we have. When I look back,
it's very interesting. You said, Minister, that yet at the time, Pimville, and it was squalid. It was almost like a squatter camp. Reflection of what black people were going through, because parents, if I'm outside Africa or even outside Africa and I'm listening to you, I wouldn't understand if you had a grandfather, a grandmother was a teacher already involved in the liberation struggle movement. why you would have lived in those conditions.
So say my house was just questioning because and we sometimes were quite embarrassed that we're because having been a of the Ethiopian church, he had a huge. So we're surrounded by all these houses, and sometimes comfortable that you were in a brick and mortar, that you could really be like other could be able to eat skoko but just not just to make you feel out of place to other kids. But that's where we
Do you think it affected your personality at the time? I could just imagine you feeling quite different, you know, and like you said, you want to be kids.
No, exactly. Expose you to being bullied because you're different. So you really are treated differently by other kids. They want money from you, they think you have money, they privilege, you stay.
And they ask you for things that you don't understand.
And you want them in the homes, you want to be like them. You just also don't understand why you have to wake and wash first thing in the morning because you want to wake and quickly go and play because by 8 out, and you don't understand that perhaps it's because roomed house so kids can't stay too long. On the other hand, you are in a home where or you're not allowed to around 10, so you have, but I think it because you really grow up being that life where you have to learn to associate with people. Just grow up there and it's normal.
And then around about the ages of 12 years of Pimville.
We left Pimville because we're moving, demolishing Pimville, like, and then they were rebuilding Klapspruit.
Okay.
Again.
And what do those like?
I was a person, I played sport. Father used to be very worried. You always jumping fences with the other girls. And
so you
he always used to complain. I even tell my kids at some stage, but boys.
Yes.
Then they started selling in the bus stop, and I really would if I don't go and stock my own. And one day when my father warned me, pointing peanuts up his face, and he just grabbed me by the throat and say, "Do you know what happened? This kid." And it's because my friends were boys, and that's what boys were.
Yeah, they're making a little money on the.
I'll be lonely if I don't do what they're doing.
Did that stay with you? A tomboy, being one of the boys with you beyond teen years?
It did. I remember when I was involved in the struggle, I mean, I was in education. I mean, I would have been involved in politics. As a student in high school, I mean, my English teacher, Tom Mantata, used to around everywhere else. I don't know what else he had seen in me, what he had seen in him to choose you and you kissing, going to go into a march. And that's what I was slightly to politics when at high school. But when I started being very active, I was involved in civic affairs, also in civic movement, education, politics. And half the time I was males. And my mother used to be worried because to say, why are you always with these men? And long time, I mean, I really kept friends. I still have some of the men up with. We're even calling others mad. They're really my friends. And up to now, they still are my friends, and I'm comfortable in
the company.
So I can
let's hold
go
it there,
toe to toe with them.
Yeah, let's take a break and hold it there. Time on the you were involved in the struggle. We today with Minister Angie Motshekga. Greatly appreciate any suggestions or comments on the show. My Twitter handle is @. Please do stay with us. Thank you for as we get up close with Minister Angie. Minister, so we've established you're a tomboy. I cannot believe it. But it makes a lot of sense in the break. It made see men as equals. Let's talk about you. You are high school. You finished teach. How do you end up involved in the struggle?
Because as I say, when I was in high school, my high school teacher, Tom, really liked English teacher, and he would drag us around to be conscious. And at home, though it was not, I was very close to my, whom I say was the daughter of chaplain. So she really spoke about ANC, and at that time, we understand and appreciate what was happening, because it was something which was spoken. When I went to Basadi, I was also very shy So when I was at university, I was always a follower. But when I started teaching, I started teaching when I was about 20. When I started teaching, it really acted me. And I met people like Nkondo, who really took me into the depth of politics. Politics as going to a mass meeting and here.
I was to start teaching, because it's like 26, 77.
No, it was cool.
Okay.
Oh, I mean, we were privileged. I mean, it was after the Fred Limo, the 1970s. So it was just the things and political consciousness and political conscientization. So, but to teach, one had a conscious of the issues. Teaching, because I was a history and English teacher, then get into being very critical of what's happening around you, about what is happening. And I was quite privileged that as I was in profession, again, it was at the height of organization. We had your Candice Katis, Fanyana Mazibuko, and we just into their hands. I think that's where, in terms of understanding what the issues are and feeling that one has a so to participate deeper and much more serious.
And then, so then how do you move from the really now be involved in the struggle?
For we were young teachers, as I said, because I was 20, celebrated my 21st, quite young and really
excited. And
actually reading a lot. There were lots of networks that were around, all the fun about raising the consciousness, around the Black consciousness era. Lots of reading. We're reading a lot, a lot. We had lots of seminars, a lot. And the ANC itself, I mean, we were sharing with the Secretary General, it was the biggest thing. What is the message? At that time, where politics, you felt that it was the right thing to do. To really go, to be honest, I was just like any other person, feeling can't go on like boys. That. That's what my mother just used to complain. Each time you come, we used to have, as young teachers was formed, we had what we called NUSA, which was really one of the structures that. So we used to drive and meet Duncan Hidley. Most of the people that I happened to have, advisor was also one of the members of NUSA. Meet somewhere and have a conference in Bloemfontein rooms, and being comfortable with much easier. You could sleep in the same car with them. You really, as comrades, at some stage, of us as women, there was Ntombi Hate, it was myself and Linda Chisholm, and a few. There were really few women involved in politics, even civic movements. Be myself and Wentate Mukha. And sometimes my mother would be so uncomfortable to say,
"What's going on, Angie?" You did move on and end up. So tell us about that. How did?
It's quite
because your mother at that time was still worried. That you're not going to get married.
No, my father. Because I have friends as boyfriends, and these boys are from being seen by other boys.
And if you're shy, you never shy because this is how you used to. Boys is just we equals.
And he was ready to arrange something for me. Getting worried that I was not getting married. And by accident, I think around 85, working with the ANC underground, and I met through ANC work. used to travel together. He was teaching at Wits, he was teaching at University from Zesque. He was still in exile to say, somebody who's going to give you a ticket that you are wearing. And that person was told, meet somebody who's wearing this, you come, you did a report on 1, 2, 3, 4. So that information is not out. So went to the airport, met some from UNISA, and we then happened to work together, even without dating.
So you used to travel?
Lusaka went to Stockholm with him, and all of still alive, stayed at the same hotel for months, worked together, and that's how I...
But when did it happen? This is not another comrade. This is not another I'm going to be with.
Strange enough, we became friends, and funny story, which he's really shy when I tell him that, because I have friends about Fumzile and Togo. This handsome intellect is in town. And we're all talking. There's another guy that with him, you know, when he speaks, frown, say, oh my goodness, he's going to embarrass us, just speak nonsense. And the says, here's this guy. Said, dating. So it just happened, actually. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It just happened. We started off as friends. He's been able to continue in our lives as colleagues. He's worked together. Even I was working with him, got married, and our destinies keep on. Gauteng legislature, I'm with him in parliament. At some stage, we were both academics. He was at UNIS, I was at Wits. We lived in Midrand, so we had to agree to say, let's have a place in the middle.
Halfway.
You go to Pretoria, and that's how we came to live in Midrand.
Yeah, I'm going to take a break and then wrap up about, I'm still in of you as a woman in the that, a lot of us women exposure to. We're going to continue with Minister Angie Motshekga. Do you have any suggestions or comments? Then please share them. My Twitter handle is Tsheapang Motsekuoa. Stay with SABC News. Thank you for staying. We wrap up our discussion with Mr. Minister to find out how do you deal with being such a and still being able to kids, have a family, and job is highly demanding as a woman, and it should surely on you performing those duties at home.
Yeah, I'm just that I've got a very strong support system. We're very close with my sisters, so I feel for to say I'm running late, go and pick. She'll do it, or I can say to her, away, I'm going to bring the kids to you. So she has to find a way of taking them to school. I stay with my sister's children, call me Ma. So we just close net. Age, my mother still lives with me. When we went to Matole, we were also worried that we were going to house and kids without people, and she was manager, so she's with me in the house. So I have a very strong support system.
Yes.
Matole also is he's a very... His family, he's got, they were orphans, I'm told orphans. Yes. So he's got a very close net system. And I keep friends for a long time, friends that I can call, that I grew up with. I'm coming to dump children here, you'll have to see. Or I don't have a... Then says, come and take my car, quick kids, and bring it back. So I with good friends and also a support system at home.
And how have the children responded to that? Because Minister, so how have the children responded to mummy is and I'm not number priority?
In some instances, and sometimes I would pick it up, but fortunately I would have responded. My youngest child, at some stage, so took him to mom. My mother
was not coping at school?
With taking him to school, supervising home, being a mother, being there on time. things, especially after the unbanning, I said things are quite,
Yes.
I'm just not, I have branches, we have to go all over. Can I bring Tsheapang? And next thing I hear this calling me to a meeting to say, but that's your mom. Yeah, your child. So which means he complained to say, I really want to stay with my mom.
That
it was quite painful. So I had to say something wrong.
Yes.
Responsible, let me take this boy. He was not, we said, what is he called? Perhaps he really wants to stay with me. And that's how to stay with me. Then I had to drive him to school. Just we have quality time with him. And some say there are those sad moments. One of Matole, because he also stays, Matole's children, his first marriage.
Yes.
And I was not aware that we're neglecting them. One, the girl sleeping in her bed. When I say, what's check if you're still around. So he says, I might feel that I might have and run away with his father. So they're all and it really is a way. Even when we come back late, we go to the bedroom. Before we leave the house, they're sleeping, they must see us. So there are those signs, if you pay attention, that are there. But again, we're quite graduated, they've got degrees. So I'll show you pictures of my son.
Yes.
He's the last. He's at UJ, he's doing well at school. I think he's healthy.
Stable.
Yeah, that's the way, because I have this and my mother is the mother that they raise, because she's able to see this one is getting out of hand. This one, look at books, the performance is not good. So she really has been I think she's been a teacher. She's really been focused in getting them on track and paying attention.
No, to me, I mean, then that when you're called for more than the duties that you perform, you definitely need to have that. Otherwise, you to make it. But that there is also when you are called for public life, this constant vilification of the sector that you may run, the decisions that are made by government that are with. How do you deal with that vilification? Specifically that, because that's personalizing it. It's not making it that there is with such and such a policy. No. Not even minister, it's gets vilified. How do you deal with that? What happens at home?
Because when you're older, you know yourself better. There is no person who can come here and tell me that I'm stupid. I've passed every exam. I've got lots of compliments. People are telling me that that's a brilliant. So no one can say I'm stupid and believe it. I don't as a person. There's no way somebody can tell me you're dumping other kids because you're evil. I know I'm not evil. And that myself. So you can't tell me that I'm evil and get. I can get my more than even me, because it's not about me. When they speak, my mother will you know me. It's not me that they're talking about. That they've created in their minds. The person that is speaking about who's this evil, malicious person is not me. So me. What irritates me as a country, we have a very exciting transformation. Rather than say to us as a nation that we have this opportunity, it's actually quite nice to be center of things when they happen. Grateful as a person that to have the consciousness that I participate in politics and up straight and say I want to change. It really makes me proud as a person to say the privilege and the foresight to go there.
Be confident that exactly. That's very.
And on the other hand, I'll say South Africa is a very exciting period when we can make and make everything big, focus on what is either to do for our country and for our children. That's why I sometimes find quite irritating. You know what? We have such a privilege as this generation. Big things, if we can focus and do things. Well, some of them are so petty. This person is so cheap. But what they're raising, is this an issue? Let's look at this generation and say, how low can a person, and really make this non-issue an issue? Really pity themselves.
Minister, you know what I'm most grateful. I mean, as I wrap up, I'm just character as a woman in such an environment, you know, that you've shared as women out there throughout Africa watching. So thank you very much for that.
Okay.
That's a self-assured and confident woman.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of Up Close. I'm sure you could see I don't want to close. Have to. So you catch us same time on SABC News DSTV channel 404. You can catch some of our favorite episodes. We'll get this one up as soon as possible. And then you know my Twitter handle. So till next time, thank you.